What's up, Rockstars? Welcome to another news video for board games, especially the ones on Kickstarter. Let's go ahead and talk about everything that's going on right now. There's a little bit of drama. There's stuff coming up that's really big. There's some IP stuff as always, and there's some heavy hitters on Kickstarter right now. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. If you appreciate the videos that I do on this channel and my ability to do any video I want in any subject in any way I want because of the freedom that they provide, you can also support what I do here via the link down below. Thank you so much. There's also some cool benefits to you, like a weekly exclusive video for you guys, some updates, there's audio updates, there's a Discord, there's I send out stuff when I can. There's a lot of fun to be had over there as well. So it's my way of kind of giving back to you as best I can, besides all of these videos. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get started. All right, first things first, obviously Kingdoms Forlorn. It's the big heavy hitter right now. I know that, you know that, everybody knows that. I still think it's funny that they have the February 15th, 2022 little blurb on there, like they didn't change it. And that's a little part of the course and everything. At the end of the day, this is a very small indie company that has grown, obviously, but at the end of the day, this is not a come on or anything like that, right? So they're still kind of working out the kinks, and you'll see that a little bit just in how they update the campaign and run things and stuff like that. But I think they've been doing a great job, especially with communication. 805,000. If you look at what they did before, the big one being Aeon Trespass Odyssey, you will see right here that they raised a little bit over $1 million for the whole campaign, and that thing was huge. It had a big lead in and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people were talking about it. An incredible game, and I hope they've done well in the late pledge as well. I really do. But the Kingdoms Forlorn stuff is really, really impressive to already be almost there with still 17 days to go. As far as I know, no added add-ons since day one. They had a few things like a neoprene mat, an art book, stuff like that, dice, sleeves. We'll talk about sleeves later in the video. Hint, hint, wink, wink. If you know what's coming up. This is a huge endeavor for them. It really is. And they've added a ton of stuff. So if you looked at the first day and it didn't seem like a lot, I agree. Take a look now and you'll see kind of a lot more of what they're doing. They're doing daily unlocks plus financial unlocks. A ton of this. I mean, they got monkeys now. So there's monkeys. That's a thing. As you can see, there's still plenty of stuff to unlock. This Standy miniature transmutation at the 1 million thing sounds pretty cool. Don't know what that's all about, but that sounds cool. Outposts, just a ton of stuff coming up. They've already added a new player board, and we'll just see what keeps coming after that. But a lot there. I did do a review. You might not know based off the page because they haven't updated the main page to list my review among the others. I was a day late. I apologize for that. But yeah, no, it's pretty big, and in my opinion, a lot of fun. It's definitely is a style of game I like, right? I really enjoyed Aeon Trespass Odyssey, and this one had a more personable story. So I'll be doing a big versus video where I'll be talking about a lot of narrative-driven games that I've had, access to and have played, so that I can kind of talk about it. Now, a lot of that is previous stuff like Kingdoms Forlorn and Aeon Trespass Odyssey and Storm Sunder, stuff like that isn't out yet. So of what I know, of what I've played, I will be talking about kind of a versus video to see which game might be right for you or wrong for you, that kind of thing. So I'll be doing that in the future. But moving on from that, just really, really cool to see them being successful here. I wish they had been able to deliver Aeon Trespass Odyssey first. I think it would have helped them a lot. But I also know that once you kind of commit to a time, a lot of money tends to go into advertising and paying for banner ads and getting prototypes made and shipped out and stuff. Like there's a lot invested in there, so a delay isn't always super easy to do as well. I don't know if that was anything to do with it or what, but I know they've been doing a great job showing the progress of Aeon Trespass Odyssey, so I still have confidence in them. I have yet to be proven otherwise at all. That they've been doing great with that. We also have, though, a huge underdog, Kabula, at 36,000. They did fund. They are unlocking stretch goals. They're unlocking more at the 35, but that is, they are at, 31.8 euros. And at 35 euros, they will be unlocking a new monster here. So that's cool to see. And between that, they're unlocking more encounter cards and hero cards, a monster. I really hope they get this. I really hope they get the all in box. I think it'd be great to unlock several new monsters, more stuff for the people, and then put it in one box. I'm backing this right now for the STLs because I like to play the PM game, just like in Kingdoms Forlorn. I'm backing at a higher point here, the Elite Core game pledge, and I added the Neoprene Mat. I have to have an art book for this game, so I'll be adding that too. I tend to be a heavy PM player myself. I tend to add a lot in the pledge manager. It helps me financially, and I like, just pinpointing the money and often paying shipping at the same time if I can, and, stuff like that. We'll be talking about that in a little bit soon too, but glad to see them succeed there. Mind Management Secret Missions is also on here. This is a critically acclaimed game that has like this kind of comic book, but like a classic comic book, like an art style, like what you would see early on in like Marvel, DC, Archie kind of days, right? That I think looks really, really interesting and cool. There's a few things like the map and stuff like that I'm not into, but like this kind of art, like the cover art and stuff like that, a lot of the cards I think look great. Like this looks fine. I can kind of make out a lot of this kind of stuff. It looks kind of like twisted. Like what the heck is she doing with that? Anyway, there's some weird crap going on there, but I have some patrons that have played this and they have said nothing but great things about it. And so if you're wanting this this game gives you a lot of those kind of like, aha moments when you're playing it, from my understanding, with like your family or friends. And that's, at the end of the day, that's why a lot of us play these games. This is the map mode I don't like. I said the same thing with Heroes of Need by Blacklist Games. I don't tend to like the overhead city map with just a whole bunch of buildings everywhere kind of look. Just my thing here. But like a lot of these I think look actually really cool, really interesting. And my understanding is they're straight from the source material, the comic books. That's really cool too. Anyway, a lot of people love it, so that's awesome. And there's some neat, crafty things. I've said I'm not going to spoil them. One of my patrons kind of told me a few of the things that they do. It's pretty cool. So that is out as well. And it's like, what is it? $4. No, where is it at? Not upgrades. Where's the game? Oh my gosh, deluxe edition. That's what we all care about. $89. That's pretty much the minimum for anything these days. But you can get just the playing cards for about $15. So that's pretty cool too. But yeah, $90, I don't know. That's the hard part for me, right? That's always what I struggle with is laying down. I mean, almost 100. Now, if it was like 40, I think, ooh, man, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe just me. Seas of Havoc. This is at 207,000. 6 days still to go. In this one, the Quartermaster Pledge is about $65. See, like, how is this cheaper than that? I don't know. I guess it's a pretty confined game. I'll talk about it a little bit. Captain Pledge, 89. That's pretty much what you want, I think. That's where it's at, I think. This game actually looks fun. It really does. I wish it wasn't Meeples because my wife won't play with Meeples. So I wish they had some little mini ships. I'm sure I could probably print some out, like the ones in like Blood Rage, just little tiny things. But then they also have like a Kraken and stuff like that. But oh my gosh. Okay, so what you're essentially doing, and look, they do a great job explaining the game, which is awesome. Like they do so in the video, they're doing it here, then they post the rule book and stuff like that. Maybe a little bit more oomph here, but I still, the animations I think help with it, so you can kind of see a little bit of what you're doing. Essentially, you're flying around in your ship. You're shipping around in your ship, and you can like have this deck of cards that helps you navigate and do different actions. And you can upgrade those cards. You can attack your enemies. You can get these like cannonball things that you fire at them. So you can go do that. You can go get treasure chests, stuff like that. And you're just working to gain the most infamy, I believe, is the victory points there. But it looks like a lot of fun. It looks very tight. You see, this is like the playing board right here. like for your ships. So like you're never far away from somebody else, which I actually kind of like. Well, I like the idea of a ship thing being a wide open ocean. I think that fits this game a lot more, and it looks to be pretty solid. Next up, we have Kalinasu Immersive Adventure Escape Game. These guys are doing some super cool stuff. They reached out to me, showed me the game. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I'll mention it to you guys. They've done a few of these, but this one by far looks the best. It's essentially an escape room style game. So you have, all these different puzzles and mysteries that you're getting and stuff like that. And they do like a whole bunch of meta stuff. You can see some of the interesting things they do. Every single one of their Kickstarters is doing different things, which I think is really cool. But there's also digital puzzles. You're going to websites. You're doing all sorts of stuff. I think that's cool. I dig it. I like this kind of stuff a lot. There's a lot of like the lining up of the letters, and you're using all sorts of different tools to do it. Looks like a lot of fun to do with a group of people. So if you have done escape rooms and like them, and you like that style of thing, where, you get the logic box and you have to find the key, and the key comes in different parts, and then, the escape room kind of stuff, this is for you. I think that's a cool thing to do, and then wrap it in kind of like a board game nutshell a little bit. But not your typical board game, for sure. Next up, we have Worldbreakers, Advent of the Kanate, or Kanat. I forget, the video says that, I forget how it is. It's saying clash of the opponent in a two-player card game set in an alternate 13th century. It's like 2 players, 30 minutes, and you can actually get some more information here. They have a nice little website. I'm going to accept all of their cookies, so they get all of my cookies. Anyway, they have a nice little explanation here about the drafting a deck, stuff like that. One of the things I like, you can like attack people with your recruiters and do events and build these different things. You're just trying to get 10 points or 10 power or something like that. They have the rule book here. One of the things I liked is that they're like, this game is for everyone. We're not doing boosters or any of that NFT crap. I've covered some card games recently that had a lot of that kind of stuff going on. This one, you buy the box, you have that, and it can still support draft and constructed and stuff like that. So you can still have fun with it, but it's more of a living card game style of thing where you have all the cards. You don't have to worry about any of that booster crap going on. So that's nice to see as well. And they mentioned it's like Agricola, Magic the Gathering. So you can imagine that, and there you go. Next up, Legacy of Thracks. This has been coming around for a long time now, but I believe it's coming out this April. So it's still a ways away, but I just wanted to remind you guys can take a look. I have all the links down below in the description, right around that Patreon support button and that like button and the subscribe button and all those other buttons that YouTubers will tell you to press. This looks very, very nice, actually. It actually looks a lot more compact than I thought. Like when I saw, especially this board here, I remember seeing that. I'm like, and then all this stuff in here, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be some huge game. It looks fairly streamlined. You got some minis here, some different shots. You can actually go see a gallery of all their fancy pictures. It looks like a sun drop kind of stuff there. The newsletter, but let's see, 1 to 4 players with a solo with David Tursky. I know several of my patrons just giggled with glee. 120, 150 minutes, competitive and semi co-op elements. That's the part that's kind of, I don't know. My group doesn't handle semi-co-op very well. I don't handle semi-co-op very well. So I just want to either attack you and destroy you, or I want to like be friends and let's go kill a dragon. Like one or the other. I typically don't like the mix, but it depends on how it's implemented, I suppose. Asymmetric, resource management, a hybrid game, Amera Euro. In other words, it's a Euro game, but it's actually fun. That's how I read that. And it has area control. Tabletop Simulator. Dude, they got everything on here. So I'll link down to this website. You can check it out and see everything what all the fuss is about. Moving on. RuneScape. Getting 2 games. Sort of. 1 board game, 1 tabletop game. So they're having RuneScape and RuneScape Old School. This is by SFG and Jagex, who are the developers, right? So they're partnering with this. You're going to get a traditional table, like board game that you would normally play, that I would normally cover. I'll surely be looking at that. So that's pretty cool. And then they have the tabletop RPG where, you can, roll your stats, but your stats are probably like logging and some fishing. And I doubt that. But either way, sounds pretty cool. Definitely going to have a lot of eyes on that. I was a little older for the RuneScape thing to really get me. But so I was busy with like Ultima and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'd already had some experience there, but I know for a whole generation, RuneScape was like the jam that people got into. So I think that's pretty cool that now they can have more jam on their board game table. All right, let's talk about Darkest Dungeon. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so what is going on? Why is everybody upset? Well, not everybody's upset. Half the people are upset, and I'll explain why. I'll explain what the issue is here and the mistake that was made. I think a lot of it is actually communication. Part of it is also just not supporting what you're buying. That's a general thing. I'll talk about that as well. So, or what you're selling. What is up on the box art insert and carved sleeves? So, if you didn't know, let's go back to this campaign page here. And let's scroll down to see some of the pledges here and what you're getting here. Okay. So in fact, we really need to go to the add-ons is what we really need to do. Though I think it came in a pack as well. So much scrolling, guys. This Kickstarter. You would think Kickstarter would like get with the at least the last 2 decades and introduce like tabs. Kind of like this, or like, a collapsible and expanded stuff and all that. Like if you're going to do a single page application like this, you really need to make it dynamic instead of this long freaking scroll thing. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. I think we're almost to add-ons. I imagine we are. Or did I already pass it? That'd be a bummer if I already passed it. Let's see. What do we got here? Components. Yeah, I was just talking. I think I was just talking. I swear. GameFound at least has the headers. It's still not perfect because they just put this big long thing, but with headers. Let's see. Additional core box, the Crimson Court, the Cove, the Warrens, the Wield, Colored Menace, Optional Boys. Oh, are they not even listing it? Is it only in the Pledge Manager? That'd be a bummer because I think it closed. Okay, well, I will explain it then. Gosh dang it. All right, Lay Pledge is open. Is it now? Is it? Is it really? No, it is not. Are you still going to show anything? Okay. Oh, perfect. All right, here we are. Golly. So they have a few things. They have this organizer here, right? And then with the ancestral bundle, they included it in there. They also have lesser protection from darkness. They have these sleeves, right, as well. So they have this kind of like storage organizer, and they have these sleeves going on here. Now, okay, so a few things here. First of all, I believe anything you sell, you should support. If you sell it, you support it. If people do crap third party, you can't fathom what they'll do. You can't support what they'll do. It doesn't work. And you probably shouldn't. One of the problems with sleeves is some people love to sleeve everything. Whether you shuffle the card or not, it could have 5 cards in the game that just sit there and they're never shuffled, and people would still sleeve them. There are some people that just sleeve everything, whether it makes sense or not. And there are games that honestly benefit from sleeves. I think a lot of that is because of bad card quality, and I think people can make better card qualities, and then you don't need to sleeve as much, but whatever. And some people just really want to protect their stuff, and they want the board to be ruined and the miniatures to be broken, but the cards to be fine, or whatever. I don't know. I don't quite understand the desire to sleeve everything. I know some people do. I have sleeved some things. It helps with shuffling. But there are, like, if you need a stack of cards this big and you shuffle and you sleeve it, it's suddenly this big and it falls over and it's a mess and it's terrible. So I've unsleeved games before too. Aside from that, if you sell something, you should support it. My feelings. Optional buys are a little odd there, but if you're including it in like a bundle or something, I feel like, as fundamentally, right, outside of, gray areas, black and white, you sell it as a company, you should support it. The problem is when you get multiple things like this, right? So they have, this like tray organizer stuff, and then they also have the sleeve. So do they support both in the box? Like, how does that work? Or none, right? Now, what they did in this update is they essentially said we had the choice between the two. Gosh, where's that update? We had the choice between the two, and we picked one of them. And the instant problem with that is the problem I have with the votes in GameFound, Kickstarter, all that kind of stuff. When you do a vote, instantly you're having people pick a side, and you're only going to pick one of those sides. And so the people that picked the other side are going to be upset. So everybody that picked a tray is now happy that the tray will fit in the box. That's great. But everybody that backed the sleeves, and the sleeves won't fit in the box, are now upset. and you sold both and the support only one, and you pitched it in a way to where like we could have done both and we picked this one. So we're essentially you're saying we didn't pick you. And so when a person hears that, they're going to get upset. So a lot of that I think is communication and context. There's a bigger problem here though, and that's actually with GameFound. So from my understanding, I might do a dedicated video on that, and I might ping some more people, but from talking with people who have worked with the back-end system of GameFound, when you put it on GameFound and you actually like say like, okay, here's the pledge manager, you have to give it like the box dimension, weight, stuff like that for shipping. In other words, you have to be having shipping ready when you're on GameFound. So if you open the pledge manager and you're doing the whole shipping thing, and now suddenly you're ready to ship and the price changed, well, that's an issue. I'm going to show another example of this that's actually really bad for a lot of you guys right now. But that's the issue. I think they could easily make the boxes bigger or do whatever if they had charged shipping when they were actually laying the money down to ship. But GameFound doesn't really allow that. You have to have it ready from the get-go. It's why games like Limbo, Eternal War didn't have it until later. Right? Their pledge manager just didn't open because they weren't ready for the shipping thing. It's why you see problems like Chronicles of Drunagar where they're fussing with the shipping stuff because it's hard to change. You got to do it manual. And even then you had to do it right at the beginning before you really have a great understanding of the actual dimensions of your box of final say. So it's like you've gotten that white prototype proof of concept thing or anything like that. You haven't improved the trays. There's a lot of stuff you have to do in there before you do the shipping thing. So hopefully some of those millions of dollars that they just got and GameFound can go to the back-end system on that. And I am sure they are working on that. And I hope it gets better because it'll benefit people who make the games and benefit the people who buy the games. So that's great. That being said, it doesn't erase this issue. This issue is still here. So that's a huge bummer, I think. Personally, the other problem is when sleeves are an optional buy. If you make room for sleeves, and I didn't buy sleeves, I'm now paying for a box that's too big, bigger than I need it, and I'm paying for shipping for a box that's too big, bigger than I need it, because I didn't buy the optional thing, so you're just adding space. I would almost rather just don't worry about getting into like aftermarket trays and sleeves. If people want to sleeve it, that's fine. You can tell them the card dimensions. If people want to add trays, that's fine. They can do that. But you know how like often third-party trays will like raise the lip a little bit? That's because the box wasn't designed for that. The box was designed for what you sold, and what you sold, hopefully, is just the core thing. So that's really that. Yeah, and kind of a bummer. Here's another example, by the way. Here's Campaign Trail 2nd Edition and Green Party Expansion. There's a few of these games from Gray Fox Games that are having this issue. As you can see, they cannot ship it right now, and that's a huge bummer. They've been like trying to sell dice and these other stuff and get donations to be able to ship it. Why can't they ship it? They charge for shipping. Well, the price increased. Well, it doesn't matter because you should charge at the price increase, right? The problem is, again, the Pledge Manager invites went out in December 4th, 2020. Traditionally, before the shipping crisis, people would, Mythic Games, everybody did this. They would have a campaign open for over a year, over 2 years. They would just leave the Pledge Manager open. But that means they have to have that shipping way early on, unless you're not charging shipping. And the problem with charging it afterwards is then you have to email everybody, hey, I know you've already paid for this, but now you have to pay for shipping or we can't send it. And then, you know, you have to, people aren't going to respond, and then people are going to respond, but too late. And then you're going to have to, it's a mess. So you want to be able to charge shipping when you're ready. The problem is when you leave the Pledge Manager open that long and the shipping goes up, now you're at an issue. That's what happened. When your Pledge Manager launches December 4th, and then you're posting on of 2020, on February 14th of 2022, that shipping went up. Well, yeah, no, duh. You charged shipping far too early, and you rode that Pledge Manager far too long. That's the problem. It isn't even so much closing the Pledge Manager. It's opening the Pledge Manager, having it open for a brief window, and then closing it, and then shipping it. And it needs to be that way, and companies need to start doing that. If you're not paying for shipping in the next few months, you should not be charging for shipping at all. Period. If you're not ready to say, hey, we're almost done with production, we're doing this, go ahead and do that, that needs to happen. Now, that sucks because a lot of companies ride that PMA, gain millions. Often, games will double their funding goal in the Pledge Manager. Sometimes over double, sometimes under double, sometimes not much at all. It depends on a lot of different things, but it's why Awakened Realms spams their Pledge Manager with more and more expansions and more add-ons, because they're making money. That stuff sells. When they add another, King Arthur miniature or whatever, people just buy the snot out of that because people want their cool stuff. And that's fine. I get that. But with the shipping and currently how it is now and the unpredictability of it, it's just poor form. You should not do that. Now, in 2020, did they know that? Well, I mean, they still should have charged when they're ready, but they didn't, right? Most people didn't. Now you need to start doing that, whether you're Darkest Dungeon, whether you're using GameFound, whether you're doing something else. Speaking of the GameFound, Mythic Games is getting out of GameFound for the Pledge Manager, and that's not by accident. They just did their Shadows of Necromancer campaign on GameFound, but the Pledge Manager is going to mythicgames.com, their web store. They're doing their own PM so that they can probably handle the shipping a little bit better. That's what I suspect. I haven't spoken with any of them yet. I do want to have a talk with them. Whether I share it with you guys and can or not is besides the point. I want to know so that I have a better understanding of that side of things, right? Because that's always the hard part is, it's often easy to say, well, you shouldn't have charged that. But I mean, if the tool doesn't let you not, then you have to, right? And so there are some tough decisions there, some issues. I want a company to make great games, and I want them to be financially successful and make lots of money so they can drive a nice car and make a nice game for me. I'm fine with everybody being happy there. Ideally, that it's a great industry to be in, and you make lots of money, and you make great products, and consumers have great games to play. That's the world I would love to envision. So I definitely want the future of these companies to be good, but I also want customers to get what they should get too, right? And so it's a tough one. It really is, and it's sadly not super cut black and white. But I think in general, companies should get out of the third-party storage game, like just in general. Just don't do that, my opinion. And if you do, you're gonna have to support it. But I don't want to pay for a box that's too big. So now you're gonna have to make two SKUs, one for the guy who bought it and one for me. And I get a smaller box because I want to overpay for somebody else's optional buys, right? So it's messy. That's why just don't do it. Just don't do it. Stop selling sleeves. Now, Kingdoms Forlorn, if you recall, it's got some sleeves. So in my opinion, they should support it, but I don't want to pay for a box that's twice as big because every single card in this game is now twice as thick because it has the plastic on both sides. So instead of this stack, it's now this stack. So it's messy. It's messy. All right, that's it. That's all I had. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this update. If there's anything I missed that you'd like me to cover, again, link down below and the comments and all that. I read them all, and I very much appreciate your guys' opinions on things as well. Feel free to share that. And I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Bye, guys.